Good morning. I thought it was a pretty solid Sunday. And in the live chat webinar, did a little tinkering with over 2.5 goals. So we'll talk you through some of those. This, for example, was an over 2.5 goal play. Antwerp against Beerschot. You'll note, no coincidence, that Antwerp are strong favourite. And that's one of our ideas yesterday. If Flashscore has retained its cookies, this is one avenue to over 2.5 goals. Maybe it hasn't. What a pity. We did a whole load of 1.3 favourites and lower yesterday, and a lot of them obliging with overs. So that was the first over 2.5 goal play in the Antwerp Beerschot match. Köln and Karlsruhe laid the 4-4 draw here. I did warn you could cash out at a third of liability as loss, as I tend to do with these draws. But this was a big surprise not to see a ninth goal in a 4-4 thriller. Hertha Berlin laying Elversberg late on, it looked like. £10 loss. Keep your liability low if you do lose. Midtjylland. This particular match, I loaded profit on Midtjylland. And off we go, £31 green screen. Coming from behind, as usual, Como Verona, Old Perry. This one, again, working on over 1.5 goals. Really good performance from Como yesterday. Newly promoted side, taking advantage of the red card. But this was an overs trade. I like over 1.5 goals markets. Let's see if we can investigate the entry and exit points. So you enter at 1.89 and you back off as soon as a goal has been scored. So my 2.5 goal strategy, basing around the 1.5 goal market. If I can get 1.5 goals at 1.7 or higher, I will back it. If you back it and there's a goal before half time, you're out with a profit. That's what I was working at yesterday. Ipswich and Aston Villa. This should have been all day long a simple profit for us. Those of you attending the live chat webinar will know I was typing in Aston Villa when the equaliser arrived. Should have laid over 1.5 goals. Go to the match odds, back Aston Villa, lay Ipswich. I laid the very late draw here, given Aston Villa have a good reputation for goals away from home. But do remember, this is pre-Europa League. That could be the reason for a slight underperformance. Roma against Venezia, come from behind, £57 in the bag. Nice. Take away the insurance loss, insurance premium. Got out of that one as well. And again, this was another match where I was backing the unders market. Overs market, sorry. Why was I doing that? I focused on Venezia, newly promoted, could concede, and they did. Holstein Kiel and Eintracht Frankfurt. Again, over 2.5 goal play on this one for Frankfurt. You'll note in the matches where I did an over 2.5 goal play, it was a while before the first goal arrived. That's the key to my entry. If you can get a goal before half time, particularly in over 2.5 goals, you can get out. And that, indeed, was the case there. Paulsen and Mlada Boleslav, this was a red card affected, lay the draw. And again, I leave these to go. But what you can do, you can cash out third of liability as loss or enter the market later. Swansea and Bristol City, just laying the late draw here. Again, this was, I think, a profitable over 1.5 goal play because we were looking for goals in the first half. Atletico Bilbao and Sevilla, another goals play there. 1.5 goals. We're expecting a good go from Atletico Bilbao. They have been in decent form. Cross the line with a 1-1, yet you still profit in the overs market. Why? You've got that delay again. Delay entry into the match back over 2.5 goals, or even over 1.5 goals if the odds are good. I'm talking 1.7-ish. Wait for the first goal. If it comes before half time, you can cash out. What I noticed yesterday with the likes of Ajax, I think it was Ajax, but it's another one I was waiting for, backing over 1.5 goals, even at 0-0 in the Ajax match. In about the 50th minute, second half, your loss would have only been about a fiver. So it's a very good market. Takes a long time to degrade the odds as well. So you're in with a good shout, because one goal changes the complexion if it's scored before the 70th minute. Nice overs here. Lugano and Winterthur. Again, what was my reason for doing this? 2.16. I was getting getting over evens about this Lugano and Winterthur. So let me just see how the match eventuated. You're probably going to see a gap to the first goal or no goal. I like that. In a match where you expect 2.5 goals, this is the only goal you need if you've got involved second half. What I would do, I don't know when I got involved here, time-wise. Uh, 3:53. So that looks as if I got involved at half time. Or did I get involved at half time? Not too sure. But anyway, over 2.5 goals. That's what we're focusing on from now on. Ajax and RKC Valvik. It's a green screen. Got the job done. And I just experimental mode yesterday. This was far too high. I backed over 0.5 goals at 1.5 to win 40 quid. That stakes far too high. So in retrospect, yes, you win 38. That gives you a chance to get involved in another market. That one came in with a very, very late goal, so we're very lucky there. And this was a loser. Minus 80, plus 48, plus 38. So it's a pretty much break even if you go all three markets. But if you get all three markets in, you win £148.57 with one more goal. But this is, from a practical perspective, in the real world, I don't think you'd be risking this amount of money. Pre-European club competition as well for Ajax. So they're going to falter. Copenhagen, simple as you like. Loaded profit on them as well. So you've got £43 on them. Negated my liability on Vejle to just give you a bit of peace of mind. And that's the insurance, relatively high. No, that wasn't insurance. I don't think that was. That could have been another overs play. Let's have a look at the Copenhagen match. You've seen some patterns now to my entry point. Hopefully, this will be a delay again before the first goal. Bang. So that, for me, is a good angle in for over 1.5 goals. At 0-0 at half-time in a match, you're expecting over 2.5 goals. Bang. So that started second half. Get a goal in, nice and early. You can get out just with that goal. It looks as if I didn't cash out here, of course, because still got the liability there. Porto and Arouca, another. Hope you're seeing the pattern now for over 2.5 goals or over 1.5 goals. Where's the goals for the 1.24 shot? Hello? This, I got involved after a delay. The red card would have automatically started the ball rolling. When did we start seeing the goals? Very early in the second half. So with the red card in play, you've got a degree of confidence that you can stay in these overs until you get a bit more of a return rather than getting out. But you could have got out with the first goal because the red card would have ensured a decent return. So all in all, a very good day yesterday, full of green screens. If you attended the live chat webinar, you'll have seen me working on these overs throughout the day. Ipswich, Aston Villa. Should have been a trade, as you know. Man United, I told you, unreadable. Unreadable. Den Haag on his way out. Inconsistency is the plague for Man United. We don't know which one turns up. Not a very good trading side at all. Over 2.5 goal plays. Again, let's just have a look at that before I move on to today. And it's a very quiet day today. Only 3 Elite League matches. But the over 2.5 goals has done very well. But let's have a look yesterday. See how we progressed with the overs. Man U Tottenham. Well, it came in care of a red card. We were expecting both teams to score, but no. Swansea, Bristol City, all about the first half goal. That's why we were playing overs here. First half. We did get the first half goal. Celta Vigo and Girona. Let's have a look at this from an overs perspective. I think we're onto something here with these 1.5 goals. We just have to manage our positions when the goals don't come in. That's the crux. Over 2.5 goal play here. Celta and Girona. Did they come early enough? Well, I've got a 38th minute goal in the first half. That's what I crave when I'm doing overs. And again, I think we were expecting a goal before half time. Atletico and Sevilla, 1-1. Again, delaying entry. I try to aim for 15 minutes, but if you go past the 15 minutes, every minute you go past, you're going to get better odds. Lower odds as a layer, bigger odds as a backer. So don't forget that. If you can get another minute out of it. Real Betis and Espanyol. Tricky one for overs, this one, because I like 2 teams playing for you. Espanyol, rather lacking goals-wise. But that said, if you did go overs and that penalty had been converted, you'd be up and running. But that, for me, not the strongest play in the world. They didn't really offer any reasoning behind the overs. I like the reasoning which we get. For example, in the Swansea match, over 1.5 goals, we got reasoning with it. We didn't have it there. Holstein Kiel and Frankfurt. Goals. Excellent performance. Frankfurt, a side to follow. Really solid performance. Hoffenheim and Werder Bremen. Well, if this ended 0-0, I would take up the monkhood. This should have been, I didn't pass it on to you, should have been over 2.5 first half goals. And did we delay? You couldn't delay with this lot, could you? 3rd minute goal, 5th minute goal, and off we go. So no 15-minute delay with a half. You have to be flexible. Take it on a case-by-case basis. You're not going to be delaying in a half match for over 2.5 goals. First half goals, 2.5, bang. Toulouse and Lyon. Again, over 2.5 goals. Look at the way the match came about. Did we have a chance to delay entry? Nearly our magic 15-minute starting point. But again, 2 goals before half-time. If you do overs and you can get that entry, it's very profitable. Angers and Reims, very much overs. First half goals again. Any delay into the market? 9th minute, alas. Nantes and Saint-Etienne, again, given Saint-Etienne are newly promoted and could be vulnerable, that would be a good overs play. 10th minute for the opening goal there. So we have to decide if we have a quiet first half. I like to go over 1.5 goals second half. And if we can get a goal from the short price favourite before the 70th minute or even the 75th minute, you will make a profit or about a 3 or 4 quid loss only. It's an extremely tempting market to trade, over 1.5 goals. Degrades very slowly. It's got a lot going for it. So you're involved for quite a while. Strasbourg and Marseille. Host have conceded at least 1 goal from Marseille in the last 10 encounters. Well, not today. Depending on the time of the first goal, would this be successful over 2.5 goal play? 40th minute. So arguably, yes. arguably as well, what I would recommend, I recommend you open the over 1.5 goal market up in these over 2.5 goal matches and look for it to hit 1.7 or 1.8, because that way you're going to get a quicker return. Torino-Lazio 2-3. Plenty of goals there. Como-Verona, red card helped. Plenty of goals there as well. Como and Verona. Roma and Venezia, an obvious shout given the away side newly promoted. Napoli-Monza, well, I was fast asleep by then. Napoli and Monza, 1.3 favourites. So again, delay entry if you can. Delay entry into the, probably over 1.5 goals going to be too small. So you're going to be going over 2.5 goals. You've got an opportunity to cash out in the first match, or you could wait till half time. Cash out there. They've got Scott McTominay now, Napoli. What a signing. I don't know what on earth Den Haag is going on about. Buying Casemiro, a has-been, and shipping off Scott McTominay, who scores for club and country. In desperate times, he gets the goals. Svollo and Almere. Again, this was a fairly weak over 2.5 goal play, only based on 83% of Almere's matches featuring a first half goal. Again, in retrospect, you want both teams working for you when you're doing over 2.5 goals. You don't want to be relying on one side, and you don't want one side keeping clean sheets. RKC and Ajax. Well, we got over 1.5 goals eventually. How did I get that? Delay. I got over 1.5 goals here at pretty decent odds. Get the first goal, and you can still get a marginal break even, marginal loss, even at that late stage for the over 1.5 goals. So it is well worth your time. And it's something, I'll put some kind of a template together. Once we've got another 2 or 3 weeks under our belts, this is something we can unleash once we've got some form lines as well, and we can pick more overs. 20 against NAC Breda. Again, a very poor performance from 20. This is pre and post Europe, so sometimes the overs won't necessarily work. And again, there's no background of information pre and post European club competition. So we've got to factor that into our overs plays as well. But for 20, yet again, if it's 0-0 at half time, you can back over 1.5 goals second half. And this timing of this goal would produce, I would say for you, about a £5 to £10 loss on a £40 stake. It's well worth doing, isn't it? Because if you get the early goal, you can pretty much nail profits. First half goals, Man U and Tottenham. Let's have a look. Man U and Tottenham. First half goals. 3rd minute. How about that for a first half goal? With the red card arriving as well. Bang. Overs is in the bag with the red card. Swansea and Bristol, we've got a first half goal there. Atletico and Sevilla. I think this was a bit of a goal shy match, wasn't it? Atletico and Sevilla. Did we get a first half goal? That's what we're after. Indeed we did. 36th minute. So you target that for overs. Eintracht Frankfurt we know about. Hoffenheim, yes we did. I think we had about 200 first half goals in that match. Angers, yes. Nantes, yes. Saint-Etienne, you'll see. Oh, don't worry about it. We know about that already. So job done. First half goals, Lazio, Almere, Walvik, Twente. So again, got to factor in pre and post Champions League. Leagues with a reputation for goals. We had all of those yesterday, performing very well yesterday. Bundesliga, Bundesliga 2. Wow. Really good stuff. Erste Divisie producing overs as usual. Pre-match odds as an indicator. So this is something I wanted to show you here. Pretty much all of them produced over 2.5 goals yesterday, these sub 1.3 favourites. The only time they're not going to, you suspect, is in this pre and post European club competition era. Looking on to today, very quiet day. Good day to have a day off. Bournemouth against Saints. It's a derby-style match. Southampton, newly promoted, could be vulnerable. Bournemouth, at their best, could have 2+ goals in them today. Saints are going to have to work at this one. Parma and Cagliari. Parma, newly promoted, so on that basis, potentially vulnerable. Yellow Submarine playing Las Palmas, who are pretty poor on the road. So you'd expect Villarreal to oblige here. So readable enough matches. You can take on newly promoted sides. And we've got a local derby, newly promoted, newly promoted, newly promoted. So certainly on any watch list this evening, those 3 matches. Let's have a walk through the coupon. See if there's any other peripheral leagues today. Danish Super League. Looks like a derby-style match. Nordland against Brøndby. So probably no great interest from me there. Over 2.5 goals. Over 2.5 goals. Professional Development League and the Premier League. Really good stuff for goals. So try out some of your techniques. These are good leagues to try them out in. Premier League and Dutch Eredivisie. Even the Bundesliga 2 in Germany. Absolute goal fest yesterday. Try out your techniques. English Premier League Cup. You might want to include that in your overs search. Veikkausliga. Once it's split into the relegation and promotion groups, these odds don't bear any resemblance to the final results. Grinkamp and Ken, no strong opinion there today. So a quieter day. Lamia and Panathinaikos, 2 of the lower lights in the Super League in Greece. So it is your typical after the Lord Mayor's show coupon today, isn't it? Shelbourne St. Pat's, 2.45. None of the big boys are out in Israel either. They were all out yesterday. Italian Serie B, nothing much to greatly appeal, 2.4 the favourite. So typical Monday coupon. Here's the Divisi. Again, practice your over. Try to get your over 1.5 goal working. That for me is the key to the over success, I think. 1.5 goals, 1 goal scored before the 75th minute, and you could find yourself with a small loss or a good profit. So watch out for that. Something you can only really practice in a live environment, can't you, with overs? Theory is all well and good, but in the real world, what do you do? For example, with the Twente match, you're expecting over 1.5 goals or even over 2.5 goals, but it's 0-0 at half-time. What do you do? It's 0-0 70th minute. What do you do? We've got to have an exit point. That's something that will come once we collect a few losing plays, which will come, I'm sure. And then we need to suss out if there's any other markets we can use as a hedging facility as well. So that's it for me today. Quiet day. Day off for me. I was up very, very late for you yesterday, producing lots and lots of green screens. I do hope you profited well yesterday. We've got to solve this lay the draw. I don't like laying the draw with a full liability. The reason I do with a full liability is because the odds are relatively big, so your return is pretty small. Any other way to lay the draw? You could drip lay perhaps, but a £40 stake leaves you very vulnerable if it ends 0-0. Now, in future, what we could look at is using the 0.5 goal market, cover the 0-0, and then going into the overs. There's plenty to think about. That's why we have live chat webinars on Saturday and Sunday. Have a great day today. You're unlikely to be hearing from me this evening. Anything that says over 2.5 goals here, you might want to entertain. Particularly, you might want to entertain these matches for overs based on the fact that we're featuring a lot of newly promoted sides who could be vulnerable. You saw Venezia Como's matches yesterday ending in overs. Have a great day today. I will see you again for the start of the Champions League tomorrow.